Hello, hello, hello. Hey, it's just me and a couple people tonight. Hey, Anna, you number one girl. Number one. Hey, PG and Chet. Hey, hey, hey to you, girl. Number two, fragile little mind. All right. Hey, PG. Hey, girl. How you doing tonight? Good to see you. And Brat number three. Good evening, PG. Much love. God bless. Summer Moon, Utah Wells. Love and prayers. Miss Norway, prayers. Prayers to everyone in chat. God bless. That is beautiful. Girl, you number three. Number four, Suzanne. How you doing, sweetie? How you doing tonight? You number four in here, girl. Absolutely. me and Anna was alone there for a minute. Hey, Patty, how you doing, sweetie? Angel. They call me B. All right. I like that. That's cute. Bridget, how you doing, sweetie? And let's get down through here. 1956, how you doing? Teresa. Jolly life. Jolly life, girl. I hope so. I hope so. I need a jolly life too. Right? I need a jolly life. AD, how you doing, sweetie? Lynn, how you doing? Oh, Teresa, that is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Hey, Pam, I see you, girlfriend. How you doing tonight? There you are. Okay. I was up half the night, you guys. Because there was rumors. Last night there was rumors flying that the kids had been found, that some clothes had been found, all kinds of things were going on, right? I was like, what? I thought for sure there's going to be, a big briefing or something coming out. They found the kids, somebody hollering, they found the kids on the property. Then I heard they found, the kids' clothes in a ditch line. And I'm like, wow, so much stuff's coming out. TikTok was really, I guess kind of blowing up with this stuff over there about Jack and Lily. And I was like, I was up waiting on it, waiting to see, what was going to go down. And um, it was, I finally was like, I gotta get some rest. So I went to bed, got up this morning, checked on it, and it was all freaking ghosts. None of it was true. Um, I was like, wow, really, really. But this particular lady right here, she had it on there that you know I live about 20 minutes away, and my dad's buddy at work's wife's best friend was on scene, and apparently they have been found on the property unalived. I was like, what? Everyone around here is saying they have heard too. They were. Um, there was no truth to that. My dad's buddy at work, his wife's best friend. Um, I mean, that was really taking it down the chain, right? And we should have knew. We should have knew when it went down the chain that far. Um, you know, it probably wasn't true. All right, but you don't ever know. You don't ever know. Um, I was thinking, wow, because they were searching under that trailer, and I thought, possibly they did go through the floor or something, but mm-mm. It was no truth to it, you guys. No truth whatsoever. Um, why people want to play in a missing child's case, I don't know. I ain't got no answers for that. I ain't got no answers for that one. Hey, Anna, how you doing, Patty Ponytail? Good to see you. Uh, there's about it. Says hello. Hello to you, sweetie. Untruth, how you doing? I'm truly amazing. All right. And Zelda, good to see you, sweetie. Good to see you. I was watching a channel and they were saying that the kids didn't go to school because they had a lot of bruises on their body because there was a lot of abuse going on in the home, in the house. Um, yeah, I mean, you know, um, I don't know. I don't know. You know, that's insane, right? That's insane. Allegedly, allegedly. Um, I'm not doubting. I'm not doubting that there was some, some real stuff going on inside that household. I'm not doubting that. Um, I often wonder, where's Cody? Where is the biological dad, the biological grandmother in all of this? Why didn't the biological dad and grandmother pick these kids up and keep them? Why wasn't it? I gotta wonder why there wasn't like some type of shared custody or something going on, or at least the grandmother, getting grandmother's rights. I don't understand why the grandmother wasn't, taking these children every weekend or every other weekend, and keeping them and understanding what was going on in their life, right? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you know, you got to, if you can't be, in your kids or your grandkids' lives, the least you could do is kind of like, try to keep up with, you know, kind of keep an insight through other people of what's going on, with them. Um, because a lot of grandparents have custody of their grandkids, and and a lot of grandparents can be really ugly. You're not going to come, you lost your custody, you're not coming around here, this and that and whatever. But if you're the outside parent, you can, talk to other people and ask questions, about your kids. You could, you know go past the schools and get a look at them, make sure that they're faring okay. I don't know. I mean, I would do something, right? I would do something if I was in some situation like that. um and then you've got a lot of parents, that are really ugly too, and they use the grandkids as a pawn against the grandparents. If you don't do everything I want you to, or I get a little upset with you, then you're not seeing the grandkids and stuff like that. um you know you've got that going on too. But if you want to end that, you just go to court. And you say, hey, I want grandparents rights, right? And they'll order them to drop the kids off a couple weekends a month, and you get to see your grandkids, you get to talk with them, you get to spend time with them, and and know what's going on with them. And then you let your kids know that, hey, if you're as ugly with these kids as you are with me, I have to take you to court to see my grandkids. If you're ever as ugly with them as you was with me, I'm going to be having child protective services all up in your house, right? You don't want me to ever suspect any type of abuse, or you're going to have a lot of issues. Um, you know, you didn't raise your kids. You didn't raise your kids to be abusive. You wasn't abusive to them. They have no rights being abusive to their children as well, right? And my opinion, I think the boyfriend was knocked out cold. Um, and he probably didn't know. He probably didn't know what was going on. Maybe the kids were loud and the mom just snapped. She seems unstable to me anyways. Um, I'm going to tell you something. That boyfriend looks to me like he could be pretty vicious as well. You know, I'm not buying, you know, right now I'm just not buying his, facade out here acting like, he's all up in the game and, she ran away and he's all up in the game taking care. He's, you know, what is the word for it? I'm trying to figure out the word for this guy, but he's, he's too, he's trying too hard. He's trying too hard, if you ask me, because he's like, I was running in the woods, ahead of the everyone else, and the helicopters and the drones, and like he's some savior and hero flying out there, um, in the middle of the woods, like some freaking save the dayer. And I don't know. Um, I just don't buy that shit. I really don't. Um, hey, I appreciate that, Brett. God bless. Yeah. Hey, Deputy Sheriff, good to see you. Yeah, I'm not actually buying that. Um, not no. I think they both know. I think they both know what happened to these kids. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I think both of them know exactly what happened to these kids. I think that, um, I think he's trying real hard to be, I think that I really believe that Leilani's boyfriend knew exactly Danny. I think Danny knew exactly what happened to Quentin. I think Danny knew it all. There's no way in hell he was right there and right there in the midst of it and didn't know anything. It's like he wasn't upstairs or in another room, or that mother freaker knew everything. But he wasn't trying to go down for it. He wasn't the one trying to go down for it. And I think that's the same game that this guy right here is trying to play. I think this guy right here is trying to play, hero, savior. We were in the bedroom with our 1 year old, and and the kids, we heard them out there playing. I'm gonna tell you, they sound like it sounds script to me. It sounds like, it doesn't sound to me like it was what happened. It sounds to me like it was a typical, everyday script. They basically, what they did is they dressed the kids up that morning like they was ready to go to school. Like, we're not bad parents. Our kids had clothes on, right? Our kids were dressed, uh, completely dressed. In a whole outfit, boots, everything on. The little girl, she even had on a pink sweater, pink pants, pink boots. So it was like they're completely dressed as they're going to school, backpack and all. And then on top of that, now they're telling us, about a day like on the weekend when the kids don't go to school, the type of how they're laying in bed and they can hear them, you know. Um, Obviously these kids got up a lot while mommy and old step pappy was laying in the bed, right? And they were making noise, and they probably been told a lot of times not to make noise so the baby will sleep longer, so their asses could sleep longer. Well, get your ass up out of that bed. You shouldn't worry about your 1 year old, almost two, getting up at 10:30 in the morning. Your 1 year old, almost 2 years old, should have already been up. It should have been up. It should have been fed breakfast along with the other two kids. It should have been, kept up most of the day. maybe a small nap at some time. And so it would go to bed and sleep all night when bedtime comes, right? You don't let kids that are almost 2 years old sleep all freaking day, because if you let them sleep all day, they're going to keep you up all night. So you pretty much take a child that's, almost 2 years old, and you keep them awake just like you keep the rest of the kids awake. So when it comes time to go to bed, 9, 10 o'clock at night, they go to bed, and then you can get yourself some me time to clean the house up, right? To wash up the dishes that you didn't get to wash, sweep up and pick up, and maybe finish up some laundry and things that you wasn't able to do prior, that evening, from watching the kids and entertaining the kids and doing everything that you need to do when you have kids. So, it just sounds to me like a lot of BS, if you ask me. I think those kids did not disappear on Friday. I think those kids disappeared probably around Monday evening, somewhere between Monday evening after school and on Tuesday morning. That's my calculation. They didn't go to school because they probably wasn't around to go to school, right? Something happened, something went down. So, did they get into some illegal substances and pass away and they were scared they're going to prison? Possibility. Was they having a big old party, and the kids wouldn't go to bed or wouldn't do what mommy and stepdaddy was saying, and they got a little, they got whooped up a little too much. Maybe did one witness, did the girl witness the brother, maybe get unalived or something through abuse, and they felt that they had to, they couldn't let her be a witness to it. Or maybe was it her that happened to, and they couldn't let because the stepdad did say one thing. He said they were best friends, right? He said they were always together. They were best friends. So, when he mentioned he started crying and mentioned they were best friends. It was almost to me like, you couldn't take one out without the other, right? You couldn't take one out without the other. So that's my opinion. This is just my opinion. I do think that the children are no longer with us. I truly believe that. I agree with law enforcement, over there and, in Canada. I believe that, 5 days and these kids are no longer alive. I'd like to hold out hope, and I'd like to, be like everyone else, praying that they are somewhere, that they are alive and they're going to be okay. But, I think I'd just be setting myself up for failure. You always hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And I think in this case, like Summer Moon, Utah Wales, like, Quentin Simon, yeah, right. The Boswell case. I think, we'd be lying to ourselves. We'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't face the truth about all of this. And, like 99.9% of the time, these children are unlived. And I think this is another case of it. Just saying, yeah, it's so sad. It is sad. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you something. Illegal substances ain't just a run of, America. It ain't just the ruins of Canada. It ain't just the ruins of, certain places. That stuff is the ruins all over the world. I mean, all over the world. And I don't know why, you know, that it has ever been allowed to run rampant in our countries. I don't know why, law enforcement isn't more strict against illegal substances. I mean, they've got to the point that they want to just legalize everything, right? Hey, baby, let's just legalize everything and, let everybody have at it. Let's have a whole world of freaking zombies, right? um let's make it let's make it so easy to get a hold of. Let's make it so easy for everybody. you know it's like, why does anyone care? I'm going to tell you why we care. Because that shit burns, totally and utterly destroys and burns humans' lives. And it destroys a lot of children that, get tangled up in the mix of it. It destroys a lot of older people who are getting everything stolen from them and used and abused, by their kids who are doing this kind of stuff. This, is just an overall, you know, pain in the ass, if you ask me. And it destroys, everyone, and the one thing that makes me, you know, I think more upset than anything is people feel like, all these people in this world, they feel like, you know, it's not your business. It's not your business. Well, I'm going to tell you, it is my business, because your reaction has a reaction. Your reactions cause reactions. And if your reactions are bad choices, then your bad choices is not going to just destroy your life. It's going to destroy a lot of other people's lives too. Like, if your children, if you have them, your parents, if you're lucky enough to have them, the rest of your family, your friends. Because when you're making bad choices, it's going to destroy everyone around you. I mean, when you walk in and you unload a bunch of bad stuff that you done onto your sister or your aunt or your mother or your cousin or anyone. When you walk in and you unload your freaking baggage on someone else that's all crap, you need that shoulder to lean on, that shoulder to cry on, and you're in there, unloading all your bad choices. Well, you just weighed somebody down with your shit. So you know what? It wasn't all about you now. So it is people's business. It's your cousin's business that's now holding the bag of crap that you just put on them about with all your problems, right? Or your mother's or your aunt or whoever, your friend. I mean, don't be making bad choices. Don't be making them. And our laws are supposed to help people not make bad choices. So what I'm saying is, our law system is supposed to make sure that there is no illegal substance for people to be getting a hold of to destroy their life, to destroy their family's lives, to destroy children's lives, right? And the law obviously ain't doing their job. I mean, if these kids actually did get into some illegal substances and they passed away, right? They got a hold of something and they both got into it and they passed away. Whose fault is that? Is it really the parents' fault? Or is it law enforcement's fault for not cracking down on that stuff harder than making it to where people can't get it? Whose fault is it really? That's what I'd like to know. That's something I would like answered. I mean, I don't see law enforcement going to prison for not doing their job, right? I mean, I'm sure that these parents will be going to prison, right, for making their bad choice. But law enforcement ain't going to be going nowhere for making a bad choice of not cracking down on it and doing more to keep it out of the hands of people out here in this world, right? I mean, like down in Kansas, for instance, if they couldn't get a hold of the stuff, if they couldn't get a hold of all that stuff they were blowing all their money on, well, they'd have been forced to blow their money on, on righteous things, right? They'd have been forced to blow their money at the grocery store, at the appliance store to get new appliances. They'd have been forced to spend their money to get new table and chair sets. They'd have been forced to spend their money to get clothes for their kids, pay their bills. They'd have been forced to do something else with that money and something righteous because, there would have been nothing evil for them to spend it on. If law and society would do what's righteous. And that's cracked down on, you didn't hear about no illegal substances flying all over the place in the in the 1800s, in the early 1900s, in the middle of the 1900s. You didn't hear about all this free illegal substances flying around to destroy everybody's life. You didn't hear about that stuff until the 60s. In the 60s, that's when, that generation, I don't know exactly why, why it was so, stupid. Because that's what it was. They were stupid. I'm not going to lie. I mean, anybody wants to sit out on a lawn and throw up peace signs while they're totally out of their freaking stoned out of their minds, right? From illegal substances. I mean, I don't even know how they got people to listen to them. I don't know how anyone would want to listen to people like that. I mean, personally, I think that's the most on-damn educated people that I could probably ever look back in history and see. Was these people, that were flower child. I'm a flower child. I mean, what the hell? Yeah. You sit out on a lawn like a freaking lazy daisy, right? A big old lazy daisy doing nothing. Your mama was a flower child too. She knew how to get in the kitchen and roll up those biscuits. She knew how to make that gravy. She knew how to use everything she had to keep her family moving forward. She busted her backside. Only she was a flower child with a rolling pin in her hand. Not one sitting out, like an old lazy daisy in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to tell you, this country ain't ever got it back. This country hasn't ever got it back. You know how many people don't know how to wash dishes? You know how many people don't know how to cook? Do you know how many people who don't know how to do anything? Do you know how many people shut a door on a dirty house and go jogging? Instead of working that ass to clean their house, they'll go out the door and go jogging while their house is freaking, smelling like a foot. Yeah. That's today's world. That's today's world. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean. They don't know how to do nothing. What they do know how to do is sit around somewhere, with their fingers moving 90 with that phone while they're staring at it all the time. I mean, they're bumping into people in the store. They're passing everything up. And then they have to stop and then come back and get it. Because they was paying more attention to that phone than they was to, their shopping and what they needed to be doing. Yeah. I don't find people educated that, would sit around back in, back in that era and, holler, "What's up, man? How's it going, dude? What's up? Yeah, that was a good party last night, right? What the heck? Really? Yeah, and they called them people normal. They called them normal, right? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, and I tell you something about um a lot of the stuff that these people use. There's a lot of these substances that can actually, it can store up in the spine. It can store up in the spine, and they can have backflashes years later. Like, many years later, they could have all kinds of issues and problems, you know, from the illegal substances they took, earlier in life, right? Yeah, it is. It's an addiction. That's true. Computers and cell phones are, people act like they can't live without that cell phone. They have become dependent upon it. Like, people are afraid to leave their home without their cell phone. Matter of fact, if they start pulling out the driveway and they realize they don't have it, you see the vehicle go back in, right? It goes back in the driveway, and you see the person running to the house. Here they come back with that cell phone, get in, before they leave. Like, they can't do nothing without that cell phone, right? And I'm like, wow, you know, I'm gonna tell you, when I tell you that, I come from a hood and a piss poor ass family. I truly do. And I'm gonna tell you something. We didn't get no computer. When everybody was getting computers, we didn't get one right away. Absolutely not. No. I mean, we were Johnny come lately, right? We had to wait. We had to wait to get, on cell phones. We had to wait to get, computers. And if you accidentally dropped your cell phone, you know, oops, in a mud puddle or something, your ass going to wait a long time before you get another one. You're going to wait till you can afford it, right? Um, I had parents that said, you know what? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with your arms and your legs. You can cut grass. You can get, jobs. You could help, you know pour sidewalks. You can help, build cement walls. You can help, hold up drywall. You can help. I mean, you could clean. You could go clean people's houses. uh, there's a lot of jobs out there. You get your ass out there and you work. You want a cell phone, you go work for it. You want those expensive clothes, you go work for them. You get yourself out of here. We ain't going to be paying for that kind of stuff, right? We barely make ends meet as it is, and we're not about to be wasting money on BS. We're too busy putting food on the table, a roof over your head, and what little clothes we can on your back. So you want these other things, you're going to have to find a way to get them. We're not raising you to depend on us. We're raising you to depend on yourself. And there's no better time to start than today if these are all the things you're wanting. So you know what you did? You take your happy self out and you find a job. J-O-B. And then when you get your paychecks, you buy what you want. You save up and you buy what you want. But you know what? If you see that your parents are struggling to get groceries, you give them that money. If you see that your parents are struggling to pay this bill or that bill, you give them that money. Because you know what? They struggled a long time when you couldn't give them anything. They struggled to raise you. And out of pure respect, before you go buy a cell phone, you should make sure that there's food in your parents' refrigerator to be on the table, and you should make sure that they got clothes too, and you should make sure that the bills are paid under that roof because you're old enough to help now. So that delays you from getting a lot of things when you live in the hood. So, absolutely. So for those people out there that, are so worried about PG packing a Louis Vuitton, well, I mean, if I do pack a Louis Vuitton, right? If I have old Louis and that Barbie mansion that they all, so think I got, and that freaking Barbie car, let's not forget the Barbie sports car that I'm supposed to have. Well, you know what? I busted my ass to get it, and I waited a long time to have it, right? Because I'm going to tell you what, I took care of my mama. My mama came first and above all. I let people know that right now. My mama would have carried a Louis before me. She'd have been driving a sports car before me. She'd have been living in that Barbie mansion before me. And that's why you take care of your children. That's why you love your kids and you take care of your kids and you do good by your kids, because your children are going to be the ones there for you when no one else is. Your children are going to be the ones there to help you when you ain't got no help. If you raise them right, they're going to be right there for you. That's just how it is. And I'm sure little Jack and Lily, I'm sure they would have went to school. I'm sure they would have got educated. And I'm sure they would have been right there for their mama. They'd have been right there for her. They'd have been right there for, if that stepdad would have been a good one, they'd have been there for him too. They'd have considered him their real dad, and they'd have been there just as much for him as they was for mama. But it sounds like these kids, like Don and Candace Wells, it sounds like these parents, didn't know the value of their children. They didn't know the value of their children. When you lay that ass in a bed till 10:30 in the day, you don't know the value of your children. When you start at 5, 6 o'clock sucking down liquor and doing illegal substances, you don't know the value of your children. You don't know the value of anything in this life. You don't know the value of yourself, right? You don't know how much yourself is worth. Because you don't care. You ain't got enough brains to care. And by the time you get enough brains to care, well, it's too damn late. It's too late. I'm going to tell you, baby, you can only go forward. Nobody can go back. Nobody can go backwards. You can only go forward in this life. And and I'm going to tell you, every single day is a gift. Every single day is a gift, and every single day is one that you will not get to live again. When you got up this morning, it was a day that you ain't going to ever get to live again. You have one chance today, one chance to get up and really make something of this day. You have one chance to get up and not only make your own self happy, but to make other people around you happy. You have one chance to make a difference in everybody's life, including your own. And honey, if you missed it, well, it's gone. It's gone. Can't get back up again today. Done did it. Done did it. It's gone. But you got tomorrow. Lord God willing. And I'm going to say God willing because he has to be willing if you're going to have another day. But if God's willing and he gives you a tomorrow, another day, well, remember, you won't get that day again. Do all you can do because you won't get it again. You will not pass that way again. And you better remember when you hit tomorrow that God already was there. God was already there, and you better be doing everything you can to follow him and to try to catch up with him because he's always one day ahead of you. God is always a day ahead of you. Jesus does go with you, but God goes before you. So you get up. You better get up moving, doing all you can do to catch up. And you better be doing everything right. Just saying. And what worries me is I don't think Lily and Jack's going to be getting up. I don't think those kids are going to be getting up. I don't think they're going to be going through another day. Matter of fact, I don't think they went through a few days now. Oh, mommy and daddy has. Mommy and daddy has. But not Lily and Jack. I don't think Summer has gotten up in damn near 4 years now. June 15th, 2021, 4 years. And I don't think Summer's been getting up. I don't think Summer's been getting up ever since we seen her on those milk jugs. But Don and Candace getting up, ain't they? They getting up. They're doing just fine, doing their videos, trying to get all the attention they can get. Right? Do you think they think about Summer? Do you think they think about Summer not getting up? Summer not having a day to enjoy? Do you think they even care? No, they don't. Because people like that don't care. They only care about themselves. And the only thing I think this boyfriend and the mommy's thinking about right now is their damn selves. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with me. Because I think just like Don and Candace, all they're caring about right now is them. I think they're trying to evade going to jail as much as Don and Candace was and still are. That's my opinion. I'll keep it. Just saying. Absolutely. I'll keep it, you guys. It's a shame. It's a shame. Often I think of how beautiful this world is. What a wonderful world. What a wonderful world. Beautiful song. It's a beautiful song. And it is a beautiful world. I'm going to tell you, God knew exactly what he was doing, man, when he created this world. God knew what he was doing when he created humans and all the animals and everything we have in this life. God knew what he was doing. It's humans that don't know what they're doing. And I think every day it would be heaven on earth if people could have just did righteousness from day one. If they all could just love and care instead of hate and despise. What a beautiful place this would be. It would be heaven on earth. There would have been no reason for Jesus to hang on a cross if people could have just been good. But he had to hang up there because people couldn't be good. He had to hang up there because nobody could do what was righteous. Hey, not even myself. Not even myself. You know, people always want to talk about how, Jesus, they hung Jesus on that cross. How mean these people was to hung Jesus on. Well, I'm going to tell you, we all hung Jesus on that cross. We had as much to do with Jesus hanging on that cross as anybody else did. Jesus died for our sins too. We better remember that because we can't be good was the reason he's hung up there, right? That's the reason he got hung up there. It's because even we can't be good. We can't sit around and blame other people for putting Jesus on a cross. We got to blame ourselves. Because we're no better. We are no better. He hung on that cross for everyone, not someone. And everyone is to blame. Because no one can be good enough to keep him off of it. Yeah. Bet you didn't ever think about it that way, right? You didn't ever think about it that way. Some may have, but a lot don't. Right? That's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? That's a hard one to swallow. To know that you yourself had all to do with Jesus being put on the cross. That's hard. It's hard to think that. We'd like to think it was, that it was other people, but it wasn't. It was all of us. And that's sad. That's sad. And that's why we have to repent. That's why we got to ask for all of that forgiveness through Jesus Christ in order to get to God, in order to get our eyes open. That's why they call it repenting. And we repent because we're so sorry that we couldn't be good enough to keep him off that cross. Amen. Yeah, those children have not been found. They have not been found. That was all lies. I got the update right here. I'm going to play it for you.
RCMP update for Lily and Jack Sullivan, missing from Pictou, Nova Scotia for 12 days. We're exploring all avenues in this missing persons investigation, says Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon, Pictou County District RCMP. We have officers from multiple disciplines dedicated to finding Lily and Jack, including highly trained RCMP major crime and forensic investigators. To date, more than 180 tips have been received from the public, and are being followed up on. Officers have so far identified 35 people for formal interviews as part of the investigation.
Wow, 35 people. This was a party house. This was a party. Those 35 people that they got, these 35 people, because they live out in like a rural area, right? I mean, they don't live inner city. They're way out in the boonies. And, your neighbor, you can't reach out and touch someone where they're at. You just can't reach out and touch someone because they're way out, like the whales. They're way out there. And I'm going to tell you, so they ain't got a whole lot of immediate people around them. So when you're talking 35 people, I'm going to tell you something. This was a party house, and it had a lot of people who partied there calling in, talking, and telling a lot of, yeah, this was one heck of a party house is what it was. And these 35 people, whoa, that's a lot of people to be coming in and out of, some trailer place. That's a lot. Because you look at this guy, he's got his mother and his brother already on the property, right? So, they wouldn't be part of the 35. And you take, the mom and her mom and them, they've already talked to them. So they wouldn't be part of the 35 either, right? Because they were on the premises when law enforcement showed up. So, who's these 35 people? Maybe the dad and the real dad, the biological dad and his mother, and, maybe a couple people in his family. But other than that, you got 30 more people, 30 more people outside of all of this that they're feeling is credible, that they're feeling is credible people that they want to talk to. Whoa. I'm going to tell you, there's some stuff going on up there for sure.
Including community members and those closest to the children. And on May 8 and 9, the RCMP's underwater recovery team scoured bodies of water around Lansdowne Station. URT's two-day operation didn't uncover any evidence. We continue to work day and night on this file, says S/SGT. McKinnon. Like all Nova Scotians, we want answers, and we want to know what happened to these children. May 13, 2025. Dozens of people are being interviewed and bodies of water have been scoured in relation to the disappearance of 2 children from a rural community in northeastern Nova Scotia, RCMP say. Lily Sullivan, 6, and Jack Sullivan, 4, have been missing since May 2nd. The Mounties said 35 people have been identified for formal interviews as part of the investigation.
Now, this was the update today, May 13, 2025.
Including community members and those closest to the children. Last Thursday and Friday, an underwater recovery team searched bodies of water around Lansdowne Station but did not uncover any evidence. Daniel Martel, the stepfather of the children, has said he believes Lily and Jack slipped out their sliding back door while he and the children's mother were in their bedroom with their 1-year-old daughter.
Now, let's talk about the sliding door, because mom and the stepdad both agreed on one thing, right? They both agreed that these kids do not shut the door back when they open it. They open it, they don't ever close it back. They get on them all the time because they don't ever close the door back. But this particular day, the door's closed. This particular morning, the kids supposedly be outside and the door's closed. Put a 1 in the chat if you find that suspicious, because I find that very suspicious. I mean, if they got up and the door was open, I'd say, well, those kids might probably try to go to school or something and got lost. But the door's closed. Yeah, I find that very, very suspicious. Absolutely. Very freaking suspicious right there. Just saying, I mean, we're just now getting, everyone's just now getting into this case. Nobody, knows everything or all the stuff for sure yet. None of us do. I mean, this is all allegedly, right? It's all allegedly, but, We do know if children have a habit of leaving a door open and all of a sudden the door shut, it probably didn't happen. It probably didn't happen, you know. I think we're smart enough to know that if these kids didn't show up to school for 4 days, whatever happened probably happened way sooner than, you know, what the parents are, you know, and stepdads saying it happened. Um, you know, I think we're, you know, pretty intelligent out here. Intelligent enough to know, you know, when we're getting smoke blowed up our backsides and when we're not, right? I think we're that intelligent.
In the days after the disappearance, Mardell remained at the home, receiving daily updates from search and rescue officials and speaking to the reporters. He has repeatedly said he believes the children were abducted, but RCMP have said there is no evidence of that. The children's mother, Malahia Brooks Murray, left the area after the disappearance with their 1-year-old to be with her family in another part of the province. The children's grandmother, Cindy Murray, has told the Canadian press that police have advised the family against speaking with the public.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I heard that Child Protective Services came in and they have removed the 1-year-old away from the mother. And I also heard that the mother left the whole county. She didn't just leave the area, she left the county. I heard that mama is supposed to be on the run. I was talking to the neighbor today, and he did a poly test in Truro today. And he also told me CPS has the baby and the mother is on the run. This is what someone put out there. I don't know how true it is, but this has been put out there. It says right here, CPS has the baby and the mother is on the run. So Daniel's not running, right? But the mother is. The mother of these children, the biological mother, is supposedly on the run. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Absolutely, Parker. I think you're right. I agree. You know, I think they're guilty. I think they're guilty. You know, you wouldn't run if you're not guilty. You would, you know, I understand being a mother, you know, being a mother, and your kids, if your kids really came up missing like that, I could understand, you know, you feeling like you ain't able to take it. I could see you feeling like you need your family to lean on, that you need your family to help. You know, I can understand that you're going to need their strength to get you through things. But I'm going to tell you, I even understand you might need a mother freaking squad. I mean, you might need to go to the hospital and see a doctor, you know, because you're going to be feeling probably pretty, you know, like you ain't able to take it. The stress could be of something like that could be, you know, it can make people pass out, to be honest. That kind of stress could, you know, make you completely pass out. I'm sure. But you know what? After you pass out, you need to get that ass up and you need to go right back to the drawing board and you need to get out there and you need to find your kids, right? You need to recoup. You need to recoup real quick and get out there. You know, you feel like you're going down. The best thing to do is don't get in a squad. Don't go to a hospital. You feel like you're going down. You need to tell somebody, hold me up. You need to hold me up because I got to find these kids. Right? I mean, just the way it is. You are so silly. I thought I seen someone running that fit her description. Was going to ask if she wanted a ride in my bike basket, but thought she might break it and just and just rolled on. Deputy Sheriff, you are so silly. That's funny. That is funny. I'm not gonna lie. Some things are hilarious. Anyhow, yeah. So they're saying mom is on the run. She's running away from everything, right? Um, is that true? I don't know. I don't know. I don't even, I'm just hearing that CPS has the baby. That hasn't been confirmed by any news stations or anything, or law enforcement. The mother being on the run, that hasn't been confirmed or anything. Um, but allegedly she is. I do know that the stepdad, I do know, I got to give him props, guilty or innocent. I got to give him props that he ain't running. I mean, he's standing there and he's trying to, man, he's trying to paint the fence all white. He's trying to paint it all white and pretty, right? I mean, he's trying to paint that freaking fence real pretty for all of us, law enforcement and everybody. So I don't know. Will he drop the ball and run? Maybe. He might end up dropping the ball and running too. We'll have to wait and see. Here's the sliding glass doors. This is the doors that they're trying to say that, the two children escaped through, right there. But they say that, they say that the kids don't ever shut the doors back. The doors are shut right now. These doors are closed right now. And they say the kids don't ever close them. So, and they're closed. When they came out looking for the kids, the doors were closed. That tells me the kids didn't ever go out. That's what it tells me, that these kids did not go out. Now he does have his mother and brother that lives behind here. They live behind all of this. And these kids came out. I would think that grandma and the brother would be able to see from, the motorhome out there. I think they'd be able to see these kids coming out. I would think they would hear the children being out there, right? And being a grandmother, I think that you'd be looking out, maybe even calling over and saying, hey, do you know the kids are outside unattended? Somebody should get up and get them, right? I just don't believe that these kids ever came out. Nobody seen, nobody heard. I think that's BS. I think that's BS. Oh yeah, and the kids knew better. They knew better than to leave the yard, right? But they were very friendly. They were very friendly. So if they seen anybody, they go with them. Yeah, and this right here, stepdad's brother and mother's home. They lived out here in this motor home. And they had chickens and stuff out here. And these kids had a sliding board and I mean, if they would have came out in this yard, I think they would have been out there playing. And if they were out there playing, then I think that somebody would have heard them. But the reason I don't think they were out there playing is because there's a wagon. There's a wagon in that yard, and that wagon had, it was really full of some really gross stuff. Yeah, look at that. I mean, they have toys up here by the porch. There's a little kitchen set up there by the porch. There's all kinds of stuff that these kids could have been playing with, and if they indeed went outside. It seems like there's a few toys. I mean, it seems like there's a little picnic table out here, and like I said, the little sliding board and stuff. So kids don't generally just come out and go running away. And that don't make no sense. And like I said, this is way back off the road. This is way back off the road. There's, you'd have to come way back here in order to see or get them. That don't make no sense. I mean, look how far back that is. That's like way back there. And I'm sure that grandma and the brother would have absolutely seen or heard something if these kids were out there. And that is, the back of this place is actually facing, the road. It's actually facing the road. And look how many windows. Look how many windows they have facing the freaking parking lot and the road. I think if anyone was out there, they would have definitely heard them. You'd have heard them coming up. You'd have heard the kids talking. You'd have heard something. I mean, this ain't no soundproof trailer. This is not no soundproof trailer. Matter of fact, I bet you 10 to 1, if you sneezed outside, they mother freaking hear you in there. If you ask me. It has to be really, look how far back from the road this is. It is way back from the road. And as you can see, they keep the driveway full. I mean, they keep that driveway right there full. So no one else could really pull in to get no kids or to get anything. Because their vehicles pallet up. Their own vehicles, keep the driveway full. Look at that. Look how far you have to come back in order to get a kid. I'm not believing I'm not believing this. This is another summer moon Utah Wells case, if you ask me. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't believe you could slide this door open without them hearing it either. I don't think you could slide that damn door open without hearing it. I mean, put a 1 in the chat if you got sliding glass doors, because I've been in a few homes with sliding glass doors along with my own home. And when I go to open them sliding glass doors, them damn things make noise. I mean, if my kids go to slide it, I hear it. I mean, sliding glass doors always make noise. So, that's another thing, another thing that I think is bullshit, because you can hear them doors. You can hear, matter of fact, it's not sliding the door back that gets you busted. It's the damn lock on it. Because when you go to open a sliding glass door, you have to open it first. And when you go, it's like click. You guys know what I'm talking about? When you go to open it, it's like click. And you hear that click. Like you hear the click all over the freaking house. Before the door goes open, you hear the mother freaking click on that lock. It's crazy. Yeah. And this is before. And you can tell. See, they were looking underneath there. They were actually taking, they were disassembling this thing, because as you can see, they're looking under this trailer. They moved all that stuff because they are definitely getting underneath there. Yeah. I mean, look at the junk that was piled up all over the place. Why does these people do that? Why the hell do they do that? I mean, if I got, I don't throw, like say I got an old chair I don't want, I don't want it anymore. Well, one, I either break it up, right? I either break it up, put it in the freaking, trash, or else, if it's in good condition, still in good condition, you set it out, and put free on it. if maybe, it's not in great condition and you don't want to take the time to try to break it down or anything, then you just basically, set it out. And usually, a trash people, if they don't take it, then junk person comes along, and they do, right? Some junk person comes along and grabs it up and gone with it. Folks should take anything because, like wooden chairs, people refinish them and sell them. If you're throwing out, if you're throwing out like any other type of furniture, usually it has metal in it, metal springs and stuff. So they take it for the metal. I mean, people haul off stuff all the time. But you don't throw it out in your freaking yard. You don't throw it out in your yard and leave it sit there. That's insane. But look at this. This is insane. And man, I wouldn't want to eat no eggs out of that chicken coop, would you? Oh, Lordy be. Look at that. Look at that. Whoa. I mean, you would think, if they were raising, I hope they wasn't selling these eggs somewhere because, wow, this don't look good. I mean, maybe they fed the kids some of them eggs or something. I don't know. That's gross. That's gross. That's right there's gross. I mean, no, that is not FDA approved. Trust me. Yeah. I mean, the brother and I mean, the grandmother and the brother, this is really weird that they would live in this together. This is really weird. But yeah, that's kind of strange. That's kind of strange, right? And who the hell would let their mother live in a place like this? Who the hell would let their mother live in this? I don't know. I don't know who the hell would even let their mom live out there in something like this. But they did. They are. Yeah, this is just weird. This is mother freaking the wells over, right? Granny out here in the camper and them up there in some kind of freaking weird looking torn to piece. Looks like it needs it. I'll tell you what, all of this looks like it needs to be bulldozed away and let's start over, baby. Let's start it all over, right? But Granny's living out here. She's living out here, but the yard's clean. I mean, she got a fenced in and she got a gate, and it's pretty much corner to corner clean. Look at that. You see where that ramp goes up into there? You see where that ramp goes up into that door? Yeah, that's how they get in there. They walk up that ramp right there. Probably chickens walk up there too. I don't know. But look at that yard, man. Ain't a stitch of grass nowhere to be found, right? Matter of fact, it's pretty dirty up here. It looks like something's outside this door on the ground right there. I don't know if that's oil being spilled or why the hell would anything be there? I don't know. I hope law enforcement went back there looking at this. Looks like maybe a campfire or I don't know. There's some kind of something up there next to that where you go up that ramp. There's like something's been burnt on the ground there. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. I don't know why that would be, why that would look like that. I don't know what the hell you would spill there or do there to cause that big old place to be, to look like that. But yeah, I mean, look at this. I gotta wonder, is this like plywood? Is that plywood coming out of there? They got a freaking plywood yard or something? Because I don't know if that's grass. That looks like plywood. It looks like that damn thing's parked on plywood, and they got like a fenced-in plywood yard. Am I seeing shit or what? Yeah, they ain't no, it don't look real. It don't look real. This looks like some flooring. This looks like some freaking flooring, you guys. Put a one in the chat if that looks like flooring to you. Because it does. It looks like flooring to me. That's what it looks like. It looks like some wood flooring. And they got inside. There definitely ain't no grass, but the ground, that's too damn clean. That's too damn clean right there. I think it's plywood. I think that's plywood laying on that ground. That's what it looks like to me. Because you see all the grass and stuff around, and that don't look like it. Yeah, that yard right there, Grandma's yard looked like it's plywood. Matter of fact, I think I can even see the lines in it. I think I can see the line. Yeah. Whoa. I'm going to tell you, this shit is strange. This is really strange. Oh, and then he was on Facebook. Did anybody else know? He was on Facebook, and he was like, I'm looking for somebody to put in some stairs. Yeah, and he was trying to sell a bunch of stuff on Facebook, too. He was trying to sell his game machine. Yeah, and some vehicles and some old tires. And yeah, he had a regular little store going on Facebook. Did anybody else see that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. I seen it. Look at this. Damn. Whoa. Boy, the chicken coop looked crazy. What the hell was that back there? Hold on. What was that? What is that leading out of there? Like, is that like a chicken run? The chickens run down there and then they run back? I don't even know. I don't even know what that is. Maybe so the chickens could air themselves out and then go back into whatever the hell that thing is right there. A makeshift barn or wow, I ain't never seen nothing like this. Yeah, this is straight up weird. And there's something sitting over there in that corner right there too. I don't even know what that is. Look like somebody throwed out a cabinet or I don't even know what that is back there hiding by the tree. And they got a shovel, look like a snow shovel in the yard. And they got the swing set. They got that one little baby toy. And then that kitchen set, and it looks like what could have been a swimming pool at one time for the kids. God, I wouldn't let my kids near that thing out now. They have an old mattress out there too. What the hell is up with these people and throwing out twin-size dirty mattresses? I don't even know. Everybody seems to have a mattress outside their house like this, right? That's freaking weird. Jody Sue had a big old dirty mattress. Don and Candace, whoa. See, they're sitting outside the door. And then this place, look at that. They got a freaking mattress hanging outside too. I'm like, what the hell? What are you supposed to do? If you fall, the mattress is supposed to catch you. That's what it seems like. I don't know, you guys. It's right there by the steps. Must have been a safety feature. Oh, how can you get me for Child Protective Services? How can you get me for child neglect when I had a mattress right there to catch them if they fall? What the hell? That's weird. Look at it. There it is. There it is, right by this step. See if right there. Like you fall and you're going to get, the mattress going to get you. That's a weird, what the heck is that sticking up over the porch? There's something sticking way up over the porch right there. Look at that. Is that how they get cable or something? Is that some kind of satellite dish or I don't know what the hell that is. It's higher than the roof though. And that is weird that they got 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa, there must be some real stank in there if they need that many vents. That's true. My goodness. I'm trying to see you guys. Trying to see if I see something. They got a freaking stove or something sitting up on the porch right there, all broken down. Looks like the top of it's hanging down the front of it. I don't know. They got all kinds of crap, right? It's like, whoa, yeah. We be checking it out. And look at the fence. And people's like, how do the kids get out? How would they get out? Look at the big holes in the fence, man. They ain't even no slats on that fence down here. You just go right through. If you was a kid, you just go right through that hole and be gone, right? Dude, look at that. They ain't even no slats in the fence. Like three places down through there. There's no slats in the fence. And people be like, how'd they get out? Well, that's probably how. Plus, they had a place for a gate, but there was no gate. I guess Grandma took the gate and didn't leave them one. Look at this, man. And what the heck's way out here is like they break every leaf in the yard that's sitting out there by the truck. And look at the tripping. Look at it. Look up on that porch right there that goes into the little door. They got shit laying there. Why you got stuff laying there? I mean, and not only that, but how you going to get in the door? It's shifted. Like the stairs are over here and the door's over there. Come on. What's going on? Somebody needs to move the stairs, right? That didn't make no sense. And look at them stairs. Them stairs were dangerous. Let me see what else we can see. There's some crazy stuff laying out there. I'm going to blow these pictures up even bigger because now I'm interested to see what they got. Oh, yeah. And did you guys know they had a hole out there? Looky there. Did you know they had a hole out there in that yard? Right there it is. Look, it had a metal piece that went over top of it. Right there is a big old hole. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look at that. I don't even know what the hell that's for. You know? I don't even know what that's for. But the lead's off of it. The lead's off of it now. I bet they're looking down in there. If this was the Wells property, Candace would have Chris McDonough going down in there, wouldn't she? She would have Chris going down in that hole. She'd be like, my big old husband could get down in that hole. You could get down that hole. All right. He's like, oh, okay. That was some funny stuff. That was funny stuff, man. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Man, they all seem to have some hole going to nowhere too, don't they? They all seem to have this some kind of weird hole that people need to crawl into. That's right down strange. That is right down strange, you guys. Just saying. Just saying. Oh, and I want to show you guys. There's the bus driver. That's the bus driver. He said when he would take the kids to school. This is the bus driver who took the kids to school. And he said that if little Jack was wanting his attention and he wouldn't answer little Jack pulled his boot off and throw it at him. I thought that was funny as crap. He said little Jack had a habit of pull his boot off and throw it at him if he wouldn't, answer him when he talked to him. that little Jack was a character, right? He's a real character. The bus driver's going to miss little Jack in his boot, right? He's going to miss little Jack. That's sad. Hmm. Damn, y'all wouldn't. I'm going to tell you something, Lisa. Uh, I don't care what you can afford. At least you can keep it up. Okay? It's not about what you can afford. It's about how you get off your ass and you maintain it. Okay? So you get the hell out of here because I can see that you're obviously one of those people living in conditions like this right here. And you're just too lazy to get off your backside and, and clean it up. So, you know what? You just got steel toe boot out of here. Uh, and now you're in PG hell. So you could stay there for eternity because we don't need people like you coming up in here, coming at us all sideways, about people who can make their lives a lot better than this, could make better living conditions than this, and didn't, right? And didn't. You don't have 3 children living up in something like this. That is ungodly. That is ungodly. This particular place, could have been clean. It could have been paint. I mean, if grandma and her son could keep a corner to corner clean floor outside their house, because I think it's a floor, but if they could keep a corner to corner clean floor outside their house, then they could have kept that yard clean as well. I mean, everything in that yard needed to go into a dump truck and needed to be hauled off. Those kids needed new toys. They needed new stuff because that stuff was horrible. That stuff, that right there was infantago. It was ringworm. It was, that was a tetanus shot right there. If those kids was to get out there and get hurt on it. That stuff right there was not acceptable for children to be playing or touching. Absolutely not. There he is. There he is. And I'm going to tell you, the eyes don't lie. The eyes do not lie. And I'm going to tell you, um, it's just my opinion, but this guy has snake eyes. That's my opinion. He's got snake eyes. There is something you would not like behind that face. Just saying. That's my opinion. And and I got a feeling that this particular mother was all about herself. I mean, she's all about herself, all about, doing what she wanted to do. She wasn't overly, protective or involved within her children's lives, even though they were right there with her. That's my opinion. And I got a feeling she'd probably be pretty damn mean too. That, they nobody pays for this but these children. Nobody pays for, nobody pays for the sins of the parents but the children. This ain't about us. This is about 2 little children, 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, needing to be found wherever they are, they need to be found. They need to be brought home and justice needs to be served. These kids just didn't up and vanish out into nowhere. I mean, they just didn't disappear. No child just disappears. Something happened. And it's up to, it's up to law enforcement to figure out what that something is. It's up to the community and society to keep these kids out here and to try to get as much information as they can to help law enforcement find these children and bring them home and get justice on their behalf. It is everybody's job to watch over children in this world. It's everybody's job, not somebody, everyone's. People should always make sure that children are being and staying safe. This is the searchers. This is all the searchers. This is what I'm talking about. People's actions have reactions. That mother and stepdad laying around in a bed till 10, 11 o'clock in the day, fading in and out of sleep. Well, you should have had yourself up at 7 in the morning. 6, 7 in the morning, you should already be up, getting dressed, getting your kids breakfast, getting your kids, and if your kids are sick, you should have been up to see if they were well enough to go to school. If they weren't well enough to go to school, then you should have been getting them some medicine and breakfast and taking care of them. You should be up taking care of your children. But because they wanted to lay around in a bed all day, so they could party, and that's what it is. They wanted to party all night. They were living, the dealer hours. Sleeping all day, partying all night, leaving these kids to their own devices, telling them not to make noise and everything else. I mean, these kids weren't really living no life, right? They really wasn't living no life. And basically, their bad choices, that mother and that stepdad's bad choices costed all of these people right here. All of these people you see right there, and a whole lot more, who was volunteering. It interrupted all of their lives. Okay. Now people say, oh, how they was living is not your business. Well, I'm going to tell you, hell yeah, it is. Because it's all of our business how other people are living, because the way they live, it's not your business if people's living righteously. It's not your business if people are taking care of their stuff and they're living righteously and they're doing, if they're not making no bad choices, it's not your business. But when people are making bad choices, it is your business, because their bad choices cost us everyone else. It costs us everyone else their time, their money, and everything else. You know how many taxpayers' dollars went into this? You know how many taxpayers' dollars it took to do all of this? Well, those bad choices that them two made cost all the taxpayers too. And you think you ain't got it right to know what went on? Hell yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. And when it involves two little children that can't speak for themselves, it's your business anyway. You got to be the voice for the voiceless. Somebody has to be the voice for the voiceless. Jack and Lily have no voice right now. They need voices out here. And, it is everyone's job to be their voice. Just imagine how much it costs to fly this thing every day the way they did for a while. Imagine that. And that's what I'm talking about. When people's making bad choices, you become other people's business. Make the right choices and everybody will stay out of your business, right? And they did have search dogs out there. I heard they were bringing in cadaver dogs now. That's what I heard. They supposed to brought in the cadaver dogs, I believe, yesterday and today. There he is, breaking down. This is when he was talking about how, Lily and Jack was a package deal. I didn't like that. I found that to be a red flag. When they said that they're a package deal, I kind of felt that's why they both disappeared, right? Why they both disappeared. They have not found Lily and Jack yet, no. They were supposed to find some clothes in a ditch line. I heard that, they found a sock, and they found like a blanket, and they found some other things. They even found something that, wasn't good at all. But I heard that this guy supposedly said that none of it belongs to the children. That the stepdad was supposed to have told him that none of these things found belong to the stepchildren, to his stepchildren. But I also heard that it did belong to them children, and that the searchers that were out, the searchers had pieces of clothing and stuff that belonged to the children. And I heard that the searchers dropped the clothing. You know, when the other dogs found it, they called up, and the searchers that were there before said that they had left it there. They had dropped it. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on in this case, because if you got a search dog and you have some articles of clothing that belongs to the children that you're letting this dog use to find the kids, then why didn't you put that stuff back, back in the bags, and take it back? Why would you drop it in a ditch line for other dogs to find, to come across, to find? I'm not understanding none of this. Yeah, like law enforcement's always messing up, because you know now like they don't know like if the searcher left it there, or if it was already there. I mean, that's why you don't get sloppy, right? That's why you don't get sloppy when you're out there doing something. Now we don't know. We have no idea what the hell's going on. We just know that there was some clothing definitely found in a ditch line by the road. And I'm going to tell you, this is some very rough terrain. This is some very, very rough terrain out here. And he's definitely trying to, you know, here's the wagon. Here's the wagon I was talking about, y'all. And right there, you see, these kids haven't been outside for a long time, because look how that stuff's packed up inside of there. This tells me that these children have not been out here playing in this yard in a long time. That's what it tells me. So, no, no. Because I know when I was a kid, I know if you guys were kids, this way, and you was out there playing with your brother, that wagon would be upright. That stuff would be dumped out of it, and that wagon would be upright, because you would want him to pull you or you pull him. And, your wagon wouldn't be turned over like this unless you hadn't been out there in a long time playing, you know. That's what I'm saying. I don't think them kids has been out in the yard in a long time. And this is the baby toy. This is the baby toy. And it looks like it's been out there a long time too. That is a memorial. That's a memorial that they set up. They said they're going to start holding, a church is going to start holding memorials for Jack and Lily. They're going to start burning candles and praying for them to be found now. Here's the law enforcement. Their law enforcement. That's the emergency. I hear that the mother got into the back of the emergency squad and then pulled out and left with her mother. On day one. On day one, she was gone. Search and rescue. Is that what your choice? Is that your choice of stuff, Valerie? Is that your choice of stuff? Because people like you tell me a lot more about yourself than you'll ever tell me about me. Because, see, you don't know me, but you know yourself. And by you saying this, obviously, you're telling me a whole lot about you. And I ain't ever seen you before in here. So, what relation are you to Lily and Jack? I would assume that you're some kind of relation. Are you the grandmother, maybe the mother, an aunt? You got to be something. And you're definitely telling me they're overwhelmed with 3 children. They're overwhelmed with 3 children. Really? Uh, you're going to be overwhelmed with 3 children? I'm going to tell you something, lady. I've seen people with 10, 12 kids and they ain't overwhelmed. The only way you get overwhelmed with your children is if you're a worthless parent. Worthless parents get overwhelmed with their children because want to be, they don't want children. They see their children as a problem instead of a gift, right? When people are overwhelmed with their children, it's because they really don't want them in the first place. They feel like they're trapped and they have to raise them because they're theirs. And these kids end up getting abused. They get used and they get abused by the people they trust the most, which is mommy and daddy, when they're not really wanted. I'm going to tell you something. People who really love their kids, really want their kids, don't get overwhelmed with their kids. You don't get overwhelmed when you're doing what you love to do. You get overwhelmed when you got a job you really don't like and you really didn't want, but you settled for it. Right? But you don't get overwhelmed when you're working a job that you actually love and you like doing. You don't get overwhelmed if you love cleaning your home and keeping it nice and clean. You don't get overwhelmed if you love cooking. You get overwhelmed if you don't like to cook. You get overwhelmed if you don't like to clean. You get overwhelmed if you're just lazy as hell and don't like to do nothing. You get overwhelmed. Right? Valerie? Come on. Why don't you talk? And I already know what your choice of illegal substances is. Right, Valerie? We know what your choice is. That ain't my choice because I don't use any type of illegal substances. I don't drink. I don't do none of that stuff. Why? Because I don't need it. I don't need it. I get up every day and I'm happy with who God made me. I don't need, I don't need no Calgon take me away commercials, right? I don't need that. Obviously you do. But if you know anything else about PG, Valerie, that PG don't know, well, go ahead and tell me. Because you're basically telling me a lot of things I don't know about myself. Right? Like you do know me. So keep going. Tell me more, Valerie, about myself. And that way I'll know a whole lot more about you. Right? Come on. Where you at? Where you at? You disappear now? You disappear. Is that what was going on in that trailer? Is that possibly what one of those children got into, or both of them, and ended up unalived? Is that what it is, Valerie? Come on, Val. Where you at? I'm interested because I think you are. I think you. I'm gonna screenshot that too. I'm gonna screenshot that because that might, if they find these two children and that particular substance is found in them, or it comes out that that particular substance was found inside this trailer, we're going to definitely know that you are either the kid's mother, an aunt, a grandmother, or something to these children. Who blocked her? She couldn't have been blocked. It's just looking at her post. Because when you block somebody, all their post disappears. Not just one. Oh well. Too bad. Val got kicked out. We should have kept her. We might have got some answers for these kids out of her, especially if she is related. And I got a feeling she probably is because we ain't never seen her before. She's brand new. So it's a very good possibility that is the mom, an aunt, a grandmother, or something to these kids. And picking that choice of substance, could it possibly be what they found inside that trailer? Could that possibly be what these children, got into Monday night or Monday morning, Tuesday morning, early Tuesday morning, and passed away off of? We got to wonder about that. I mean, it'll sure be. I mean, will I be surprised? If they find these children and that's exactly what happened? No, I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised at all, because that's stuff that I suspect. I suspect anyway. But I did screenshot it. I believe it was Valerie. And that kind of sounds like you know, that kind of sounds like a name from Canada. I started to say Australia, but that sounds like a name that would come from Canada that they would use. You know, what really cracks me up, I tell you what really cracks me up is you got these people that want to say, people that, they want to come out and say that you're demonic and you're this and you're that when you're trying to find missing children. When you're working for the victim and you're not talking all good about the suspects in the case, they want to act like, you're so mean that, that you're pointing out all the, indiscretions about the suspects instead of, patting them on the back and upholding them and doing all these things. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with the human mind that it wants to deceive these missing children who actually need the help, the ones that are missing that need to be found. What is wrong with people's minds when they want to deceive these little children and uphold this freaking evilness? Now that's what's demonic. What's demonic is upholding these suspects and not caring about the real victims that are actually need the help, right? That the ones out there relying on everyone to be for them instead of against them. That's what I don't understand. That, and I probably won't ever understand it. Yeah, you got some real turd pop suckers in this world, right? You got some real turd pop suckers in this world. I don't understand it. I don't know why, you know, they want to support these suspects. I don't know. I want to support these missing children. I want to support the real victims. I want to support the people, who need us most. I want to support the ones that we're supposed to be here for. That's where my support's going. And you got a lot of people, that just ain't like that. I don't know why. Yeah, they are evil, Wood Fairy. Yes. Yeah, and lack of empathy. That's right. You're right. When I see people who don't want to support, you know, the real victims in all of this, what I see is people just like the suspects. I say, damn, they're just like them suspects. They're hiding stuff. They're sympathizing with these suspects because they are just like them. They live like them. They do like them. And they don't, if they look down on the suspects, then that would be looking down on their self, right? It'd be the same as looking down on their self. They're a mirror image of these suspects. And that's why they want to uphold them. It's like, it's like a liar. It's like a liar trying to call out another liar. If someone's a big liar and they watching someone tell a lie, they'll try to back up that person's lie because they're a liar themselves. But if someone that is not a liar sees someone lying, then they'll call that lie out. They won't back it up. They'll confront it and they'll call it out. And the liar dislikes that. The liar dislikes that, and other liars dislike that. They dislike you because you're honest. and they stick together. They stick together. You know, people that do evil, thieves stick together. Liars stick together. That's just the way it is. So when we have those people come into chat, you know, trying to support these suspects, it just tells me that they're just like them. They're just, you know, they're just as bad as them. And, you know, if they're supporting someone that, you know, abuses children or neglects children and all of these things, you know, and they're supporting that, then probably they're neglecting their kids. They've been, you know, they've been in a situation where they neglected theirs as well. Their kids probably in children's services and everything else, you know, and that's why they're trying to stand behind these people, because they're just like them. And you know, and that's why they get a steel toe boot out of here, right? That's why they get a steel toe boot out of here, because we do not want people like that in the midst of us. We want people, you know, who's going to be for the victims just like we are. We want people who's going to be here for the right reason, not the wrong reasons. We ain't got time for that. Look at this. You got these poor people. I mean, look at that lady right there. I bet you that lady in the blue vest right there is probably up in her 50s or 60s or maybe older. And look at her. She's down in there, that ditch, looking and wanting to find this, you know, these two children. And they got a big healthy mother who ran away. They got a big healthy mom that could be down in here just fine, be down in here helping, and she ran off. They got a stepdad that could be down in here, and he's standing up around the trailer with his brother, which could be down there too, a couple of healthy young guys. But no, they'll let these people do all the work while they stand around. Right? I heard the baby was taken. I heard that Daniel was supposed to tell someone that he went to see the baby, but the baby, they wouldn't let him. I heard he went to CPS wanting to see the baby, and they told him no. And I heard the mother isn't allowed to see the baby as well. And I heard it's because when they went into the trailer, they found illegal substances, allegedly. Allegedly, when they went in there, they found, you know, a lot of illegal stuff inside that trailer. You know, that's what I'm hearing. You know, I don't know for sure. I'm not there. Look, that's what I'm talking about. And you know, that's how they marked the, you know, all the areas that they've checked. I guess they hang up this stuff, and that way they know that it's been, you know, it's been looked into, combed over, gone over, and you know, and they can look elsewhere. And that's what they're doing. They're marking all the areas that they've already taken care of. So, you know, when you go into the woods and you check, you know, you check all around the brush and a tree or whatever, you put one of those, one of the markers on it. And then you go and you look at under the other thick brush, and you put a marker, you know, so that you know what you've already looked, you know, what you've already done, what you haven't done. And that way it keeps you, you know, able to work in a giant area and keep track of, you know, where you've been and where you ain't been so far. That's what they do. You can't keep checking stuff twice. You'll be there all day. There's the search and rescue. And these people get really tired. These people, they get really dirty, they get really tired, you know, they get really thirsty and hungry. They spend tons of hours, tons and tons of hours, out there. And the weather conditions are horrible. I heard it was raining there for like 2 weeks. For like 2 weeks, it was raining up there. So, and they're out there in the rain, you know, trying to, and that could, it could be what they were doing is, trying to let the rain, the rain wash a lot of stuff away, a lot of evidence away before they contacted law enforcement. I mean, I don't know. There's more with the search dog. They have been up there. I heard they're up there going over that trailer with a tooth and comb. That's a fine tooth comb up there. That's what I heard. I heard they've been going over that thing with a real fine tooth comb. So I don't know. There they are. Those are the children they're looking for. That's little Jack. That's little Lily. It's sad. Really, really sad. This is the inside. This is some pictures of the inside of the trailer, to my understandings. This is some pictures of the inside of that trailer. Now I'm not sure if it is or it isn't, but I heard it is. I heard that's the single door leading out into the yard, the one that's got the moved platform. I heard this is the inside of the trailer floor. This is at Christmas time, and as you can see, the carpet is all cut out right there. The carpet on the floor is all cut out, and it looks like, it looks to me like there's a lot of like stuff piled up around there. But this is supposed to be the inside of that particular trailer. Um, is what I heard. So, and that if the flooring is tore up like that, it's a possibility that, it could be rotten. It could be rotting. I don't know. I don't know why you tear up a big piece of carpet like that. I have no idea. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I heard the same thing, Wood Fairy. I heard that Canada CPS works different in Canada. Matter of fact, I heard that it ain't even called CPS. It's called something else. And that it does work a lot differently than it does, in the United States. Um, right? Exactly, Ruby. Absolutely. In my opinion, it could be. It could be something went wrong with that piece of carpet because they sure did cut it out. Yeah, Jack and Lily does need to be found ASAP, but um, there's you can only do what God allows. You can only do what God allows. Right. Absolutely. You know, it makes me upset because I'm going to tell you something. I come from the hood. I come from, a place where it was very, very, very poor. I'm talking, you know, piss ass poor. And, like, you know, you didn't have to worry about being worth the salt in your bread because a lot of times you didn't have no bread, right? To worry about the salt being to even worry about salt being in it. Um, so you know, and I know I watched growing up. A lot of people struggling, even myself, my own family, struggling to make ends meet. And I'm going to tell you something. I went into a lot of homes like, my own, that kept everything clean, corner to corner, right? They didn't have much, but I'm going to tell you what little they did have was always polished up, cleaned up. The furniture was always clean, the floors clean. What they had, they knew how to take care of because it wasn't easy come, easy go, God send Sunday, right? It wasn't like that. When you got stuff, you learned how to take real good care of it because you knew how important it was to take care of it because you're not going to be getting no more, right? You're not going to be getting no more for a long time. And you learned how to take care of your clothes, and you learned how to take care of your furniture and all the things that you had. You learned if you got carpet, boy, I'm going to tell you what, you learned how to wipe your feet outside, take your shoes off as soon as you came through the door. You really took good care of stuff. You took everything, all foods and stuff, to the kitchen. You didn't let people, just destroy destroy everything because you knew how hard it was to come by, and you appreciated it. You appreciated every little thing you had, and you took very good care of it. And a lot of folks did. A lot of people, you know, they planted pretty flowers out in their yard. They actually had grass and planted flowers in their yards, and they kept the inside and outside of their home clean. And maybe they didn't have much, right? Maybe supper was beans and fried potatoes and a little bit of bacon, and maybe a hunk of cornbread or whatever. But I'm going to tell you what, you thank God for that hunk of cornbread, and you thank God for that pot of beans, and you thank God that you was eating, and you knew one thing. You knew that, it come out of a clean kitchen, and you knew it was cooked with love and kindness and caring. And that's more than people get today. That's more than people get today. And I'm going to tell you something. But you also went into a lot of houses where the people didn't. They did not, take care of anything. And there was a lot of homes, where they didn't buy a bucket of paint and keep everything painted up nice. The freaking yard was overgrown and just looked like garbage and junk everywhere. And, the house had holes in the floors. And I mean, These people didn't spend no money. They spent no money fixing their floors. They didn't spend no money keeping paint on their, on their woodwork and stuff. They didn't spend no money, or they did not spend no time, trying to make anything look nice. They were just really lazy, didn't care, destroy everything type humans. And there's no call for that. There's no call for that. They were just lazy. And if and you knew the people who were like that. You knew the ones, and they were real haters. They were, these people were some real haters. They hated you because you had a nice yard. They disliked you because they said that you thought you were somebody, that you think you're uppity up with your yard all mowed up and your flowers, and you think you're something. No. The people who had, that took care of their stuff, they didn't think they were something. The people who didn't take care of stuff thought you were something. They thought that way about you. That's how they wanted, to make you feel, because they hated you and they disliked you. When they could have done just the same thing you did, they could have done too. But they disliked you because they were too lazy to do it. And they were jealous of you because you weren't lazy. They were jealous and envious of you because you were doing what they were too lazy to do. And then they tried to make you feel bad by acting like you thought you were better than them. No, they thought you were better than them. That was in their mind, not yours, because you didn't think you were any better than anyone. And you couldn't understand why they didn't take care of their place the same way you took care of your place. But it didn't make you dislike them. You still liked them no matter what. Right? You didn't judge them off of the way they were living. You couldn't understand it, but you weren't judging them. Absolutely not. They were judging you. They were judging you. And and that's a problem. That's a problem. I'm going to tell you, when you got good things and you got nice things, it's not changing you. It's changing the people around you. That's what it is. People say, oh, you got $1 million. You got $1 million and that money changed you. No, it wasn't the person with the $1 million that changed. It was the jealous bastards around them that changed. They're the ones. Their jealousy and their hatred and their not being able to stand to see you have anything. That's what changed. When you were down in a ghetto with them, when you were in the ghetto with them and you had no more than they had, they was all up your friend and everything. But the minute that you worked hard to get out of it, well, all of a sudden, they wanted to make you feel guilty for all of your hard work because they were damn envious and jealous of it, and they didn't want to see you rise above it. They could have rised above too, but they chose not to. But now they're trying to make you feel bad. You can't let people, you can't let people turn the table on you like that. You didn't change, they did. And they could have been pulled up out of there as well. They didn't want to be. Right? Yeah, just work 16 hours. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. If you want to get out of stuff like this right here that these babies are in, you got to work to get out. You had a healthy I don't know about the grandmother because I didn't ever see the grandmother. But I'm going to tell you what, I did see her sons. She had two sons on that property that looked healthy as hell to me, and both of them could have been working jobs. That girl, these babies' mother, could have been working a job. You had three people who could have been working 40 hours a week, every week, bringing in a paycheck, and they could have been living way better than this. And they chose not to. They chose not to. They could have all put it in one pot and been living in a real house. They could have been living in a real house, all of them together, taking care of one another and doing the righteous thing. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, and that's true. Damned if you do and damned if you don't. Yes, that's true. You know, if you're doing everything right, you're going to get criticism. And if you're doing everything wrong, you're going to get criticism, right? No matter what you do in this world today, you're going to get criticized. You're going to get people coming at you. It's just the way it is, you know. You know, it goes with that old thing. You know, you can make some of the people, you know, happy some of the times, but you can't make everybody, you know, happy all the time, right? That's just the way it is. Life goes on. Right, right. You know, if you nobody has to raise children in this type of condition. No one has to raise kids in this type of condition. This is, you know, this is really sad. It's really sad that these kids were raised, you know, in this. And you could tell someone, look at all of those clothes on the floor back there by that bag. Now, how hard is it? There's three healthy people around there, the mom and two brothers. How come that they couldn't fold them clothes up? Why wasn't those clothes washed and folded and put away? You know, there's no sense in having stuff laying all over the place like that. That's, you know, that right there is unsanitary. That's unsanitary, to say the least. I mean, who wants to wear clothes that's been on a dirty floor like that? Who actually wants to put on clothing that's in a big old dirty floor? Nobody that I know of. And you cannot, there is no comparisons to, there is no comparison from this generation to the other generation. There's no comparisons um to you know, to that, because um the only comparison that can be made in history is the difference between the 1950s and the 1960s. The 1950s, you know, it was marriage, and you know, people were still getting married. They was, you know, they wasn't using illegal substances. You had a problem now and then with you know, alcoholics, but you didn't have any problems with, you know, illegal substances. It seemed like through the 30s, 40s, and 50s, it was mainly, you know, mainly just alcohol type thing. And, you know, but for most households, you know, it was two-parent households. They stayed together for eternity, right? I mean, when they took their vows, they meant it. and they stuck it out and really fought to keep their marriages together. Most of them did. They raised families, had grandchildren, and they all worked. They worked good jobs, and made money, and they put their own roof over their head, their own clothes on their backs, their own food on the table. They didn't want handouts. They didn't want handouts. They didn't want no hand up. They didn't want anything from anyone else. They wanted to make their own. These people wanted to make their own. And they did. And they did. After the 60s, came in, that's where everything went, downhill. That's where it all went downhill. And that's where all the illegal substances came in. That's where, along with alcohol and everything else, right? Everything else. And that's where, nobody was getting married at all, right? Nobody was getting married at all. There was a whole lot of, what they call illegitimate children, coming into the world. And, that's where it all went south. And, there was usually no dad figure in the home, and, and people weren't getting married anymore. And, and then if the people that did get married, they said, well, if it don't work, we can get a divorce. And they did. And they did. And, and that's where it all went south, because you have a mom, and this mom's got 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 kids. This mother's got kids. She ain't got no man. She ain't got no man. And, she didn't get those first kids by not having no man, right? And she didn't get the other kids by not having no man. And she didn't have get the other kids by having no, what I'm saying is, these women had to, they felt that they don't got no man, so they had to go out there. They had to get that me time to go out there and date these different people and have relationships. And, really all they wanted, really all these women wanted was to be married to one person. They just wanted, to have their family and everything. But it got really hard. It got really hard during that duration to keep a man, because there were so many, people. You didn't have to marry anything anymore. What I'm saying is, if you can milk the cow through the fence, why marry it? And everything was getting milked through the fence. So, men were running away from that marriage stuff. They was running away from all that child support and all that stuff. And it just, it got out of control. And that's why, these kids were raised up, a lot of kids are raised up with, only one parent, and that one parent happened to work, and that one parent happened to do everything, doesn't have time to focus on these kids. And these kids get out of control. They get out of control, and their kids get out of control. And it's been a never ending cycle. It's been an, ongoing cycle of the same thing. It's just the way it is. Oh yeah, way back, yeah. Everybody had chores to do. Exactly. You had to go out to the barn to get the eggs, right? You had to go to the garden to get the vegetables. People, there wasn't no idle hands. And in today's world, you haven't got nothing but idleness. People, you got a dishwasher to do your dishes. You got a cook stove, that you just turn on to do all your cooking. You got an oven. If you don't feel like, cooking on top of the stove, you just heat up the oven, right? And make everything in the oven. You can make steak and baked potatoes and then pull out some salad and you got dinner all whipped up, and all you had to do is turn on the oven. You know, so yeah, everything, people today, the reason that I think the reason that the stress levels are up and anxiety's up and everything is because people are too idled. They have too much time to sit around and think. They got too much time to, on their hands to do nothing. And when you're sitting around doing nothing, right? You're not outside communicating with none of your neighbors. You're not outside really doing anything anymore. Um, you know, you're communicating through this box right here, which is idleness, is idleness as well. And people just, they really don't. It used to be you had to get up and you had to get up early and get yourself ready. You had to, you had to get your kids ready. You had to, you had a whole day. You had a whole day in front of you. You had to make breakfast. You had to clean that up. You had to make lunch and clean that up. You had to start dinner and and clean all of that up. Shoot, it was like what, like 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening before you even got, you even got to just sit down for a minute. And maybe you might get to watch, a little bit of TV. And then you had to get the kids ready for, up and ready for bed. You had to get them a snack. You had to get them some water, right? Set beside their bed in case they wake up thirsty or something. Yeah, you were busy. You were busy. And then when you got all, you finally got the kids in bed, you had to finish up, right? You had to walk through the house and pick up this and pick up that and straighten up this and straighten up that. And by the time you went to sleep, you were tired. And you got up and did it all again and again and again. And that's how you lived your life. And you stayed very busy, and you didn't have time to be stressed. You didn't have time to, you didn't have time to worry about no anxiety. You didn't have time to worry about nothing. All you had time to worry about is if you're going to have time to do everything needing to be done. And that kept you very busy. And that kept people very healthy. It kept them happy, because they always had something to do, and they loved it. They loved it. But people don't have anything to do anymore. They do have stuff to do. They're just not doing it. That's basically it. It's like this trailer home. They could have stayed busy painting it. They could have stayed busy, cleaning it up and putting new carpet in it. They could have stayed busy, on getting these kids to school and getting them into sports and going out to dinners. They could have stayed busy having cookouts on the weekend. All the kids play. They could have stayed busy doing a lot of things, but they didn't want to stay busy. They were too busy, sleeping in and partying. They loved the party life. And that party life, will destroy you. That party life is, you either get on the playground with the devil or you get on the dance floor with Jesus, right? I'd rather be on the dance floor, but a lot of people love being on the playground. The playground's exciting. It's bright lights and no limits, no limitations. Everybody doing what they want to do. And a lot of people love the playground. And it sounds like these people love the playground. Don and Candace love the playground. What can you say? Megan Boswell's loves the playground, right? And we definitely know that Quentin's mother and grandmother loved the playground. Just a lot of people love to be on the playground. And the playground, will destroy you. At some point, you're going to get God. It'll destroy you. That's why I don't play on the playgrounds, right? I had 17 aunts and uncles. Whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot, right? Right, right. I'm going to tell you, I don't say don't have your children. I don't care how poor you are. I don't care how poor you are. If you really want your baby, and I don't care how young you are, if you really want your baby, have your baby and take care of your baby and love your baby. And I'm going to tell you, God will provide. God will provide. Um, you know, there's always room. There's always room at the table for one more. There's always room at the table for one more. And I think every one of you throw food away every day. I'm sure that every last one of you rake enough food in the trash to have fed one more person. Put a one in the chat if that's true, because I know I do. I know I rake enough food in the trash daily to feed maybe two or three more people. So, I think we all I think we all, you know, throw food in the garbage that can feed another mouth. And there's nothing wrong with having your child, and I don't care how poor you are, there's nothing wrong with having it as long, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if you're living in a box, as long as you keep that box clean. As long as you keep that box clean and hazard free, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with living in a log cabin if you keep the floor swept clean and you take care of it properly and you're living healthy. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to tell you when it becomes wrong. It becomes wrong when you start letting that log cabin fall down around you. When you're so lazy that you're not keeping up the maintenance. When you're so lazy you're not willing to put forth what it takes to keep your home and your children going every day. That's when it all, goes out the window. There's no reason, for people to live like that. There's no reason to go in a place and destroy it. I mean, every house looks lived in. Every house looks lived in. And to, a house, it's nice to have a house that looks lived in. It's comfortable. It's comfortable. When I say, a house that looks lived in, I'm talking about, um, maybe a pillow and a throw on the sofa where where your daughter or your son had been watching TV, or maybe yourself had throwed it there to watch some TV, and then you decided to turn the TV off and go on up to bed. It's nice, it's nice to look in a room and see a pillow and a throw there. It's nice to see a newspaper here, there, um, store ads here, there. It's nice to see, a few things out of place, but it ain't okay to see holes in the floors. It ain't okay to see holes in the roof. It ain't okay to mother freaking see, toys that look like they need to be put in a garbage, sitting in a yard for children to play with. That's not okay. It's not okay not to keep your children's stuff, put away. I mean, these people are taking care of chickens. They got a big place for their chickens. They should have had a shed. What I'm saying is, they could have had a shed, and they could have put, the wagon, cleaned it up and put it in the shed. So when the kids want to play with it, you pull it out of the shed, you spray it off with the water hose, you dry it, and it might be a little dusty, but once you spray it off and dry it, it's safe for the kids to play with. It's that kitchen set, for instance, that should have been in the house. That shouldn't even have been outside. That's something that should have been inside the house for the children to play with. That should have had a place inside, not outside. Some things, it's okay to have a swing set outside for your kids. But, you got to put plastic over it, right? At the end of summer, you got to put plastic over it. And after winter, you pull the plastic off and you spray it down and you let the kids play on it. If that swing set, becomes rusty or anything, it's time to take it down and haul it off and get a new one if your kids are still young enough to enjoy a swing set, or you have younger kids that can enjoy a swing set. It's time to get a new one. You can't, you got to watch out. You can't let your kids play on rusty stuff and dirty stuff and corroded stuff. That's gross. And look at this. I mean, really? The whole giant piece of carpet's missing? I'm going to tell you what. I got to put that down. Because it's stuff like that. That bothers me. That bothers me. I would have laid a wooden floor throughout that thing. I would have had a wooden floor completely laid through that thing, or a marble one, right? Towel or something put all the way through that. Something that would have been easy to mop. Something easy to, keep clean. And I would have had big throw rugs. I'd have big throw rugs for my kids to, sit on, right? They sell some really beautiful oriental rugs and stuff that you can throw in your home. And they're soft and they're beautiful. And, if the kids like to sit on the floor, they can sit on that. They sell, square ones. They sell oval ones. They sell round ones. And you can display those throughout your home. And you can keep everything clean. You vacuum the rugs, and you mop the floors. And I mean, it's not, this is a freaking trailer. This is a trailer. Like, how hard is it to clean a trailer? You know how many people get up every day and they clean, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms. They clean hallways. They clean, 2 or 3 bathrooms. They mother freaking clean the whole big kitchen, a dining room, a living room, right? There is people who, have, they clean a mother freaking, screened in patios and everything else. I mean, they get up and clean a whole freaking 2-floor house, sometimes, 3 floors with an attic. And they keep that sucker clean, like the Chrysler building, from the top to the bottom. Even the freaking basement. They keep it wall to wall clean. There's people who, really get up and work. Put a 1 in the chat if you're that person. If you're one of those people that's got a whole house that you got to clean every day and keep up with, put a 1 in the chat, because I'm going to tell you something. I know a lot of people, they have to, a trailer, man, they wish they just had to keep up a trailer, right? They'd be like feeling like they're in heaven. They feel like they're up in heaven if they just had to keep up a trailer. They'd be like, Lord, woo, you answered my prayers today. All I had to clean was a trailer. You know, they'd be keeping that trailer spotless, right? They would keep that sucker spotless. That's like cleaning your car. That's like cleaning your car. And that's another thing. There's people not only keeping that whole house clean, but they're keeping that freaking car clean with it. Sometimes a couple cars. Sometimes I see women cleaning their husband's car out. They're cleaning their car out. They're cleaning a mother freaking boat and the RV. They're cleaning everything. And the house. And the house. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. Um, I'm gonna tell you, big houses can overwhelm you. Big homes can overwhelm you. Smaller homes are really easy to take care of, but a trailer home, wow, that would be like no work. But for some reason, trailer homes go downhill really fast. They do. They go downhill really fast. I've seen some brand new, beautiful trailer homes, brand new, and it like a couple years, they just some reason they just look weather beaten and I don't know what happens to them, but within a few years they start to just look worse and worse and worse, right? I don't know what it is, but and it ain't the people. It's really not the people living there because when you go inside, everything's beautiful. It's the outside. The outside seems to, the weather really seems to take a lot of wear and tear on them trailers. And, they don't seem to hold up. They don't seem to be able to hold up to the elements, is what I'm saying. Sometimes, the outside ain't nobody's fault. Yeah, they don't hold their value. That's true, just chilling. They don't. I would not ever invest in a trailer home. Absolutely not. My mom has a white room, white furniture, carpet, curtains. I'm afraid to go in it. Yeah, I would be too. I would be too. I know. No. Uh-uh. No. No way. Matter of fact, I had somebody just recently trying to sell me a really beautiful, and I'm talking it was gorgeous, beautiful, all white rug. It was absolutely beautiful. And don't think I wasn't tempted. I was tempted. Um, you know, and then I turned around and I seen my kid standing there and that temptation was gone. I was like, oh, nah, no, no, I can't do this. No, you keep that, man. I don't want it. But yeah, it was mighty pretty, very good price. But I'm like, nope, no way. Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't want anything. I don't want anything that, I don't want nothing that's going to cause me to make my kids, to make my kids uncomfortable. That rug, yeah, it's beautiful. And I sure would have loved to looked at it, you know, laying in my house somewhere. But I don't want my kids, I don't ever want my kids, to feel intimidated about nothing. And I think that's what it would have done. I know my kids love to run through the house. They love to go through every room, every single room. I'm not going to say that they ain't nightmares sometimes because they are, but the point being is, they're my nightmare. And, you know, and like I said, one day you're going to wish that you could see that child in that room again. You're going to wish that, that, that you could go back in time and enjoy, all of their messes. You're going to be wishing you could hear their BS and everything they're trying to give you. Um, you know, and while you got it, you better enjoy it. You better enjoy it because kids grow up so fast. They grow up like overnight. It feels like overnight they grow up. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. Yeah, I have to steam clean it every 2 hours, right? You got that right, girl. I ain't got that kind of energy anymore. I ain't got that kind of energy. Hell no. I wake up. I've been waking up for a while now. I've been waking up for a while now, asking me when did I come become my parent, right? When did I become my? I wake up freaking stiff. I wake up stiff and shit. I'm like, whoa, where'd this come from? Wake up with a freaking Charlie horse and all kinds of crap. I was like, what the hell's going on? Feeling pain places you didn't even know you had. It's like, no, no thanks. Hell no. I used to, I used to try to run. I used to try to run at least a mile a day. 1 mile. I try to run 1 mile. Man, I'm gonna tell you what. I get about half a mile now, and I'm ready to sit the hell down and call Uber or somebody to pick my ass up. Right? I'm ready. I'm ready to be picked up. Somebody chauffeur me home. Forget that. I'm gonna tell you. Yeah, I think I could keep this white rug, right? Mama, I miss our ghost stories. Oh, girl, I'm going to tell you something. Lord, you don't even know. You don't even know. Whoa. I could tell you some ghost stories and curl your hair. It they had some scary stuff. There's some scary stuff out there in the world. Some real scary stuff. 250 a month. What's 250 a month? Is that how much they pay for a trailer? That's what they pay for a trailer is $250 a month. Oh, you can buy them here on 3-bedroom, but you have to pay 250 for 250,000 for the lot is parked on. What? Is that $250? Yeah. You pay 79,000, then you have to pay on a monthly rate of 250. Right. The lot is parked on. Wow. Yeah. That's insane. That's like almost 3,000 a year. You're giving somebody almost 3,000 bucks a year to borrow their dirt, right? Because you're paying the 250 to borrow their space to park it on their little piece of dirt. And you still have to probably pay. You probably still have to pay for your gas and your electric and your sewerage and all of that on top of the 250. I would imagine. 250 a month is what I spend on drinks for my house. LOL. Hey girl, I'm gonna tell you. At 250 a month for your drinks. Hey girl, I don't know how much I spend. I don't know how much I spend. My kids go through some my kids go through some freaking liquids throughout a month. They go through orange juice, apple juice, grape juice. They go through freaking soda pops. They go through milk. Oh man. They go through more milk now than they did when they were a baby. Um, I can buy 3 or 4 jugs of milk, and between them and their uncles, it is gone. It milk does not last in my house. That's the truth. I wouldn't even want to see how much I spend on a month on keeping all these people hydrated. All right. Oh yeah, actually, absolutely, Anna. So do I. So do I. I go through a pack, sometimes maybe 2 packs a day. If I'm stressed, um, I try to hold it down to a pack a day, but sometimes I go over. I go over a pack, and I go over a pack. So yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, smoking's not cheap. Smoking is not cheap. It costs. Oh wow, I paid 26,000 for mine and 541 for lot rent, but my house payment is 331 a month. Wow. Yeah, so you're between your lot payment and your house payment, you're spending $1,000 a month easy. $1,000 a month easy, just for a place to live. You should be able to rent a pretty nice apartment for that. Two packs with discount card for Little General 11.25. Wow, you get two packs for 11.25? Oh boy. Dang. There you go, girl. Wow, what a savings. I'm paying $1,900 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Whoa. Wow. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. Shoot. I'm going to tell you, for what you're paying for your 1-bedroom apartment, girl, you could move somewhere else and own it. You could own your own house for that kind of money. Yeah, I wouldn't be paying nobody that kind of money for 1 bedroom. Hell to the no. I'd be moving. Wow. That's that's amazing, Tiger Mama. That's amazing. Yeah. I use a lot of coupons too at the grocery. I don't usually, use any type of coupons for my smokes, but I do use a lot of store coupons, and I do buy everything when it's on sale. But I'm one of those people that go overboard. Like, oh, green beans are on sale, and next thing I know, like, I got a whole freaking cabinet full of green beans. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Right? Now everybody, like, uh yeah, like, they're walking through the kitchen. What's for dinner tonight, Mom? Could you not make green beans? We're sick of green beans. You're not making green beans again, right? I go overboard, and my kids will be like, not again, because I thought I was getting a deal. Yeah, I got to stop that. Right? they have like they'll have like the pasta, all the pasta on sale, and my kid, and I'm thinking I'm going to stock up on this pasta, and my kids are like, oh no, how long are we going to have that stuff? And they'll do this at the grocery store. They'll look in the cart and they're like, oh no, how long are we going to have to eat this stuff? Can you put some back? My kids are a trip, man. Like, shh, somebody's going to hear you. Be quiet. $5.34 a pack. Wow. Oh man, I don't ever get those deals. I don't ever get those deals. Wow. Buy one, get one for $2.50. Oh, $2.50 off the next pack. Oh, I'm going to tell you, PG, little PG, and you don't want to be doing that. You do not want to go to that, because those things right there, girl, I'm gonna have to talk to you. I'm gonna have to talk to you outside of YouTube about that one. Oh no. Absolutely. You're going from bad to worse, girl. You're going from bad to worse. You don't want to do that. Yeah. Tiger Mom, you are so right. You are so right. Matter of fact, I was just ran across a young guy. Um yeah, I'll post it up on Facebook if I can find it again. If I can find it again, I'll post it up on Facebook. But I'm gonna tell you, yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all. All right, you guys. Um, I think that I think that a lot of stuff has been put out here. Like they found Lily and them to kind of get people up in the air and to cause a stir. And it worked. It worked, you guys. And I think that a lot. It's going to go like Summers. It's going to go like Summer and case and some of these other cases. We're going to hear a lot of things like this, and we're going to have to separate the truth from the falsehoods, and it's going to go the same way. So we're going to stay busy. We'll be very busy, you know, um, putting the puzzle together. We're going to have to figure out what's truth, what is truth that we're hearing, what isn't truth that we're hearing. And we're going to have to, just like other cases, we're going to have to try to put the puzzle together with all the truth that we can find, and kind of piece it together, and in order to have some ideal of what exactly happened to little Jack and Lily. These are two beautiful little children, two adorable, absolutely adorable children that have come up missing. As I said, I do not think they came up missing Friday. I think they was missing before this. I think that's when they were reported. I don't think that's when they came up missing. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. That's my opinion. Though my opinion is they came up missing, you know, before this. And, but we're going to stay on it. We're going to keep them out here. We're going to continue to pray for them, that they are found, that they're brought. I mean, I don't know if they will. I don't know if they will. Right? I'm not sure if they will be found or not. I'm going to tell you, I don't think they came up missing on Friday. And the thing is these people had on Tuesday, and they had Wednesday, and they had Thursday, and and they had a few hours on Friday to you know to do whatever needed to be done to make sure the kids are not found. And out there, out there in an area like that, they may not ever be found. So, we'll wait and see. I personally think the only way that Jack and Lily will be found at this point, I think the only way they're going to be found is if someone goes a conscience and tells. And that's the way I feel that Summer will be found as well. I think the only way Summer's going to be found is if someone grows a conscience and, and tells. And that's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is. With these missing child cases. So we'll have to continue to pray. We'll have to continue to pray that God intervenes and somehow allows these children to be found and brought home and justice gets served. We have to pray for Michael Vaughn and Sebastian Rogers as well. Let us pray for them also. But PG's got to get out of here. I've kept you guys a long time tonight, and I like to covered more than what we covered, but we kind of went in left field here and there, and but it's all worth it. It's all worth it. If one person, can turn their life around, one person can turn another child's life around, making them a better life, then everything we say and everything we do is worth it, right? Everything we say and do is worth it. So, let us keep moving forward for the best of not just these missing kids, but all children around the world. Amen. Let us always, always keep all children in our prayers. There's a lot of children out there we don't know about, going through a lot of things. Let us pray that God intervenes and, somehow keeps them from becoming one of these missing children that we're looking for now. So keep those prayers going up for these kids, and keep them going up for one another, you guys, and keep them going up for older people. There's a lot of older people going through a lot as well. A lot of older people get abused every day, just like children. Let us pray for them also in the name of Jesus. Amen. I'm going to say good night. God bless. Much love, everybody.